the time, it was a challenging time for Michelle. She had been the target of the left for several months and years even. But now the far left had posted her address online. This was back in 2006. Michelle was afraid for the safety of her family. She was receiving threats. And what was her crime? What was her crime exactly? Exactly. She was telling the truth. She was a beautiful minority. She was a woman. She was very intelligent. She was outspoken. She was conservative. And they hated her for that.
And a journalist.
When you read her blog, Michelle Malkin at the time would occasionally post the toxic, disgusting emails that she frequently received from the tolerant left, just like many women do in our conservative movement. And Dana can contest to that. She posted them sometimes on her blog. Soon after that, Michelle relocated her family for safety reasons. For many people, this would have been enough to silence them, but not Michelle Malkin. In 2011, I had lunch with Michelle in Minneapolis. We talked about our friend Andrew Breitbart. It was obvious at the time that Andrew was taking a lot of heat from the left. Michelle felt empathy for Andrew. She knew what he was going through. She'd already been there. That was her life. But Michelle Malkin would not be silenced. She would not quit. Today, Michelle Malkin is a New York Times best-selling author and syndicated columnist. Her blog, MichelleMalkin.com, continues to be one of the most popular blogs on the internet, as well as HotAir.com, which she created and was later sold to Town Hall. Michelle is a Fox News contributor and is often seen smacking down liberals like Juan Williams or telling yapping leftists to shush. Recently, Michelle launched Twitchy.com, and already it's a massive internet success. Michelle Malkin continues to spread her conservative message. Michelle will not be silenced. When Michelle Malkin holds a book signing, the line always extends for a block and around the corner. When she sits on a panel at a conference, the room is jam-packed. When she speaks or debates, she delivers the red meat. Michelle Malkin will not be silenced. When Andrew Marcus and I asked Michelle to speak here today, she didn't hesitate. She told us she'd be here. Michelle Malkin will not be silenced. And because of that, we are a better nation today. Please help me welcome author, blogger, speaker, patriot, and friend, Michelle Malkin!
The Lashes. Get up here, Andrew.
Sonny.
Jenny. Beth. Sonny. Dana.
We're coming.
We've got a live stream going. You've got all your cameras. You are the media. The right media. And this right here, this is fair and balanced. Gentlemen, I'm going to excuse you for a second. No, ladies, stay. Where's Jenny Beth? Oh, she had to leave. Sorry. Because this is a special message for Andrea Mitchell. I'm trying to. I see women. Sorry about that. These liberal women in the media, I know them. I have been among them. Even though I am just a blogger, a badge I wear proudly, I'd tattoo it if I didn't have kids and didn't have to be a good one. I mean, I got a temporary tattoo, just a blogger. I've actually been in old media for 20 years now. This is my 20th year in the dead tree newspaper business. And I actually started out as an intern, believe it or not, at NBC News. And Andrea Mitchell was there, and even back then, conniving to make the right look evil, bad, dumb, principleless, everything that they are. Isn't this what it's all about on the left? It's always about projection. So I've been inside the news sausage factory, and it is not pretty. So I had to come here when Jim and Andrew told me about this event, because it is about calling out the corrupt media. We're calling you out. I've got the fish wrap of record here with me. And about the only thing I find it useful for is rolling it up and spanking the lap doggies when they need to be spanked, which is often and early. This is a fun and joyous and happy event because we are together, because this is a message that we are not alone, but we are engaged in serious business. The mere act of exercising our freedom of speech and our freedom of assembly is a political act. It is an inherently ideological act now to tell the truth. And Andrew and Jim and Dana and Chris and everyone who is gathered here are gathered here in the spirit of Andrew Breitbart, who is a pioneer in social media and new media, and knew and practiced more adeptly and more brilliantly than anyone I know in my business, and as I said, I've been in a long time, who understood the power of every voice and every individual. Every voice counts. And he remained a happy warrior until the end, and that's what we have to do. Because how better to expose the hatred, the vitriol, the violence, the ugliness of the other side than to smile, than to enjoy our freedoms and have gratitude for them, and to hold up that mirror and say, look at you. Several years ago, one of the books I wrote was Unhinged, Exposing Liberals Gone Wild. And they still haven't found a cure for that. The reason why we picked Cleveland and why we converged here is because we have to get in the faces of these whitewashers, these stenographers, these lapdogs in the mainstream media who go out of their way to demonize you and coddle the other side. That bridge across the Cuyahoga River that these Occupy Cleveland hate mongers wanted to blow up carries some 14,000 vehicles a day. There are 2 million people a year that visit the nearby park there, and they didn't give a damn who would have died. And the mainstream media looked the other way. You know the three monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil? Well, if we had to do that for the lamestream media, it would be with one. Because they're blind to the left side. They're blind to progressive menaces. Focus, fish wrap of record. This is what a hate group looks like. Blame righty syndrome. I diagnosed this many, many years ago when the grassroots Tea Party movement had just started bubbling up. Anytime there was an act of violence, anytime there was an act of ugliness or incivility in this country, it's always our fault. Blame righty. Some random guy flies a commuter plane into a building in Texas, it's righty's fault. Some guy offs himself in Kentucky to commit insurance fraud, and it's our fault. Random nutballs across this country, ignoring every last law, exposing the futility of gun control, and it's all Righty's fault. Tea Party's fault, Fox News' fault, Andrew Breitbart's fault, talk radio's fault, Bush's fault. How can I forget? It's always Bush's fault. It will be for time immemorial. Lamestream media, we're calling you out because you have to be held accountable. It's your fault when you look the other way. Soledad O'Brien. Soledad O'Brien. All she's missing is the smart glasses. She's supposed to be the paragon of a neutral female journalist. And what did she do a couple of months ago? Deny the ties that she had to Obama's radical friends and trash my friends at Breitbart for exposing and vetting this president the way real journalists should be doing. And then this week, Soledad, caught red-handed, or rather blue-handed, reading straight from the talking points of a liberal blog, and then running to that paragon of objective journalism, the Hollywood Reporter, to explain that no, she's not biased. Bias? What bias? That bias that's stinking under your armpits, lady! The problem isn't bias, and we have to make this clear, and there are so many penetrating and trenchant critics in the right wing on our side who understand this. The problem is not bias. The problem is the self-delusion that you're not biased. Where's the pill for that? Oh yes. I talk many times about how sunlight is the best disinfectant, and we've got lots of it, plenty of it here. And what you're going to do when you leave this wonderful event today is shine your light in your neighborhoods, in your workplaces, in your local newspaper pages, on your blogs, on Twitter, on Facebook. And that is the wonder of living in the 21st century, in this Breitbart-inspired era. Because each of us is our own journalist, not just a mom or just a blogger or just a conservative or just a Tea Partier. We are the media, and they hate it. There is a nexus between what we're trying to do here to force the media to talk about Occupy Cleveland, to talk about the ways in which they have downplayed and whitewashed. I wish I had a white paintbrush with me. I should bring it as my next prop. The way that they've tried to whitewash the violence of this movement that every last mainstream Democrat has embraced. The reason why it's so important is because narrative is important. And this is something that the Team Breitbart understands more than anyone else, and this is something that all of us on the right side of the internet have to work together to do. Push back against these false narratives, because they're not going to go away by themselves when we have the fable teller-in-chief aided and abetted by his storytellers, his fake, phony storytellers in the media. And when Republicans fall down on this job, and unfortunately, many Republican officials do because they don't want to rock the boat. You rock the boat. Rock it hard! And all we have to do is just expose how feckless, how obsequious, how shameless they are in their shilling for Barack Obama and his administration. I remember. Spread this on your Facebook. Spread this on Twitter. Go back into your archives. It was only 4 years ago when you had female journalists on the plane with Barack Obama. And what were they doing with their cameras? No, they weren't exposing any of his cronyism that goes on behind the scenes. They were oohing and eyeing because he was in his jeans. You remember that? Ooh, ah. Of course, it goes without saying, Chris Matthews and his ever-tingling leg. But that's just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You remember that there were MSNBC journalists who talked about doing happy dances when Obama won the nomination. Get that information out there. Don't believe the liberal media, but don't just sit there and tell people not to believe it. Counter it. Expose it. Turn them on their woolly heads. I was enraged, as Dana was, listening to her talk about the cowardly occupiers in this audience going after Sonny Johnson because she happens to have skin color that they disagree with and views and perspective that they disagree with. I know a lot about that because not far from here is the whack nut sanctuary known as Oberlin College that I survived. I always say they survived me, not the other way around. And back then it was a lonely existence. And the fact is that the left is growing increasingly mad and raged. They've lost it when they see so many faces of women, of people of color who are darker than Barack Obama, standing up on stages, getting airtime that nobody else gave them. We built this stage. Standing up for freedom, for limited government, for integrity, and for a media that does its job, not you know what kind of jobs. That's right. And it is exposing the worst excesses and the pathologies of the left and progressivism that we need to unite behind. We may not always agree on the same candidates. We may not agree on the same causes and tactical agendas and plans, but on this we agree. We believe in the American dream. They believe in destroying it. We believe in faith. We believe in family. We're the ones who believe in peace and the rule of law. And I will do everything in my power, and I know my friends will too, to make sure that we speak truth to power. That it is the other side that condones violence, that it is the other side that squelches free speech. I have friends in the audience who have been fighting against a convicted terrorist, a real terrorist, not Tea Party terrorists, a man named Brett Kimberlin. Do you know who this is? You should. Out here in the Midwest, you do. This man was convicted of a string of bombings, and he is now free to intimidate individual bloggers on the right who have dared to call attention not only to his violent and criminal past, his litigious harassment, but also the countenance and the condoning of the mainstream left. And people like Barbara Streisand. There he is right there, Aaron Walker, who is fighting him in court. We need to tell our stories. We have the ability to do that now because all of the stonewalls to information have crumbled. There was a very famous internet guru who said that information just wants to be free. And it will be free because freedom prevails, our Constitution prevails, and we're here to defend it and fight for it together. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Malkin, everybody!